where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls. This is show number 254 for Sunday the 31st of March 2019. Well, hello and welcome. My name is Michelle Young and together with my good friend Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Firstly, let's give a good old Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to all of those UK mummies celebrating today. Hope you have an amazing day. Now, coming up on this week's show, I have a fantastic guest for you. Talking Disney, talking diet, talking keto. So let's kick off the show.
Where dreams begin.
Well, hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. And I have an extraordinary special guest that I am so excited to share with you. I have the wonderful Christine Fox, aka Keto Fit Girl. Hello and welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited for you to be a guest on the show because our listeners will know about the massive impact that a low carb, high fat diet has had on mine and Jane's life. So to have someone who not only is a Disney podcaster already, but has also gone out and done all this amazing research for me, put it in a book, and now when I go to Disney this year, I'm not going to put on any weight because you're there for me.
I am definitely there for you. 100%.
We will be talking a little bit more about that because firstly, I mentioned that you do a Disney podcast, correct? How long have you been doing this one for now?
We are a little over 4 years in.
Wow.
144 episodes.
And this is Divas Dish Diz.
Yes, that's correct.
Got to be really careful to say that because it's a bit of a tongue twister.
Hard. I know. We had it was different. We changed it, but the Divas Dish Diz, it fit us. We really liked that.
I was thinking at the weekend and it just suddenly hit me why that name just works so well to the show, listening along, and it's just like, yeah, the name fits the show. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yep. We're just like, basically Disney loving gals, and we come from all parts of the United States. We have one of us is in Disneyland, who works in Disneyland, and I'm in Orlando. And then we've got the other two are farther up north, Pennsylvania, and then one up in Massachusetts.
Wow. So spread all over the United States. I know me and my co-host, she's about an hour and a half away from me, so it's not...
Oh, that's nice. That would be lovely.
Yeah, not too bad. But England's a lot smaller country.
Yeah, we're way far. But my primary co-host owns a travel company, and she's here all the time. So I do see her a lot.
Oh, fantastic stuff. I will put a little link in the show notes for people to be able to access if they've not already come across the podcast. And also listen to the last week's show because it did mention a little bit about having the guest on that you did from the Disney Mums panel. Yes,
she was awesome. Andrea Updike. Yes.
Really informative. And it's always nice to have girls talking about Disney,
Right. That we're sharing a passion, and I love that.
Absolutely. Right, so let's start first with telling us a little bit about how you came to Disney. Like, were you a young child? Did you find it as an adult? Please tell us.
I'm smiling. I wish you could see it. I'm smiling only because I have come as a young child. My parents took us here after the opening, and they were here all the time. But we lived in Pennsylvania, which is basically all the way up at the top of the north of our country. And my dad just had the urge to be down here and work at Disney. So he moved his family down to become an Imagineer in design and engineering. So I grew up with Magic Kingdom in my backyard. That was my dad would drop us off for the day, and my older brother and younger brother, we would wander the Magic Kingdom. He's off. We'd go back home for the day. We'd spend our summers in the parks. When Epcot was built, we had the both. We were flipping back and forth. And then I actually became a cast member in 87. So I was a cast member for a long time, a lot of roles at Disney, and it still is in my backyard, and I'm about to go there after this podcast. I'm heading to Epcot just to stroll and wander,
So
spend
you
the evening.
don't technically have blood in your veins. You have Disney 100%.
Definitely do not. Super proud. My daughter yesterday was accepted at the Magic Kingdom for a role, and I'm pretty excited about that. So she's the third generation going in. Um, but yeah, we're there all the time. We're a Disney loving family, and it is just something that we're used to. My dad has had his hands on every ride and I would say resort, anything built since 84, maybe. So it's pretty interesting to see a lot of the changes and things that are going on now. Sometimes I don't want changes, Michelle.
True, true. I share that
Sometimes I
pain
hold
as
on.
well.
Yeah.
I bet he can tell some stories.
He could. I've been trying to get him to write a book, and I just might be able to. If I could just get him talking, I could type.
Absolutely. And people love to hear that different perspective from
Sure.
inside the mouse
Yeah.
house, really, does that, don't
Especially
they?
from that design and team. Yeah, for sure.
Because it's the design that brings everything to life. Because anyone can
Right.
build an attraction, but when it's got all that layers of
The
theming.
details. Yeah, it's a lot of details for sure.
Okay, so that's your Walt Disney World credentials, pretty
It is.
much up in the top shelf there, I must admit. Have you been
Yeah.
and visited any of the other parks around the world?
I haven't, but I will be for the book. So the next one up is, I believe, June in Disneyland. And then because I'm going to be doing all the parks for the book.
Oh my word.
Yeah. So Disneyland's the next step. I'm going to be eating a lot really fast.
And there's some spectacular eateries in Disneyland.
I have a feeling I'll be eating more than I'll be doing anything else. But yes.
Oh, absolutely. I love the food at California. I just rave about it. And I think keeping on the keto way of life is a lot easier there than Walt Disney World. But
I can imagine actually it would be. The keto diet's very popular over there.
yeah, but we'll get back onto that. So you've mentioned that you're going to go to Disneyland. That means you'll be going over to Paris as well.
That's true. Yes. So I will cover all parks.
Oh, bonjour, mes amis.
I know. I can't wait.
Oh, please keep in touch if you do plan a trip to Paris. Let me know, and if I'm ever able to pop on a plane,
Wouldn't
it'd
that be lovely?
awesome.
Yes. I would love that.
It's a beautiful park, is Paris. In my opinion, it has got the most beautiful castle I've been to.
It is really pretty. I know. I'm hard on castles because when you live and you work and you see it all the time, you're like, that's my castle. So it's hard. I know Disneyland is they're that's their castle because it's Walt's castle. But I definitely love Cinderella's castle. But looking in Paris at the castle, just amazing, stunning, especially during the
Absolutely.
holidays. Very stunning.
Yeah, and it's great that you can go out on the balcony and look into Fantasyland, which you can't do in any of the other
No,
American parks.
yeah, that's going to be the best part, I think.
I'm so
The
excited for you.
views. I know. Yay.
And then will we get a cruise line set of books?
Absolutely. We are avid Disney cruisers, so 100% that's on. That might actually be in the works before Disneyland. I was just contemplating a cruise very recent. Matter of fact, this week I was thinking about going on. I was thinking Thursday. I missed the Thursday cruise. I'm thinking, should I just go Saturday on a cruise? I'm really contemplating it. I'm very spontaneous when it comes to things. The Disney cruise, I am very spontaneous. I could pack up anybody I need to pack up and get them on that ship. I love it so much.
I must admit, I'm a new convert. I've done one and I've booked one for 2020. So I'm really, really excited about it. I just love it. And the food, oh my
The
word.
food is great. Now, I've done the ship keto already, but I wasn't writing a book at the time. So I didn't, I brought a lot of my own food on the ship. For years, I've been bringing my own food on the ship. So I remember I just didn't want to I was with the whole family and I didn't want to do research while I was on the ship. So I just basically ate my standard food that I bring with me and just left it at that. This
Yeah.
time I won't. This time I'll research.
I try to behave, but when you're eating
It's
at
true.
Paolo and Remy and oh, it was so hard.
And unlimited room service.
Oh no, those Mickey bars. I'm sorry, but
It's
yeah,
so terrible. I know. I
so
know.
bad. but so good. Favourite attractions? So are you a thrill seeker? Are you a traditional dark ride girl? What would you say?
No, honestly, my favorite attractions would be in the Magic Kingdom, some that are missing, no longer there, like 20,000 Leagues, things like that. But only because I lied, that wasn't my first park I worked for. I almost said it was my first park. Epcot was my first park I worked for. And I worked tickets in Epcot years ago as a teenager. And then I flipped over and I was a Mouseketeer at the Magic Kingdom. So that was pretty exciting. That was a really awesome time in my life. But I would say that currently, I like old school. I like Spaceship Earth and things like that. I like things that I've done as a child that I could take my children to. That's kind of where I'm at.
And what age are your children? Are they still little or are they older?
Oh my gosh. They're old. They're older, except the youngest. We have a big gap. So we have a 30-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 20-year-old, and then our youngest is 12. There's a gap in between. So he's the one in the house right now. But currently, we go with all the kids. Like last night, we were at dinner on the boardwalk at Trattoria Al Forno last night. So we always meet up. All the kids have passes, and we're always meeting up and hanging out usually for dinners and things like that,
Oh, fab stuff. Do you like meeting the characters? Is that something that appeals to you?
It doesn't actually. It's very shocking, but it does not. I'll go to like the DVC events and things like that, and everyone's waiting in 9-mile lines. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to keep walking. I don't know why it is. It's not that I dislike it. I just feel like I'm here all the time. I don't need to do it, I guess. Maybe that's why. Maybe if I lived in a different state or country, I'd want to, but I don't. Unless it's a character you never see. That's a different story. When they pull them out of the archives and bring them in, those I will definitely get a picture with, if for nothing else but Instagram or something.
Yeah. So is this something that would draw you? Would it be a princess? Would it be a villain? What would be the one that tempts you?
It would be the princes, the actual princes. I think, before they weren't coming out, and Disney did this thing, I think maybe it was 2015, I can't remember what it was, where they did the Valentine's event and you could do a meet and greet with every princess and her prince. And that was pretty neat. I like to see the two of them together as couples. So that couples, that brings me. I like that.
And it is quite rare to be able to catch the two of them unless you're watching a parade as well.
True, very true. So you're not really standing and getting pictures with them. So it's really neat. A few of them are in the Magic Kingdom like that. But when you get it that you could go from, princess to princess to princess, back to back to back, and just grab what they did for that event. I'm not even sure if they did it this year because I didn't actually look. They gave you a card. So each one had a calling card of the two of them on it and with a signature on it. It was really cute.
That's nice. I suppose what they seem to be doing as well with over at Artist Point with the signature storybook dining there are those kinds of events to get people to sort of, pay out a bit of money, have a beautiful themed meal and have some character interaction.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah. Now I will say that I was impressed with. My whole table went up to get pictures with the Queen, and I didn't only because this is going to sound so silly. I did it because my heel on my shoe was feeling like it was going to break and I didn't want to keep getting up and messing around. I'm like, I have to make it through this dinner and get back to the car. That's my only goal right now. So I look at my timeline on my app and I see the rest of the family or the rest of the friends, but I didn't do it. But she does come around to the table and it's really impressive. I love what they did. Now, I personally I'm going to miss the Artist Point as it is, but the current way it is really pretty inside, and I do like the options. I ate keto that night, but I had already written the book, so I kept the original chef, everybody in it. But it's doable. It's not as doable as it was prior. I will say that.
Oh, well, I'm going there this July when I'm over in Florida, so I've already looked at the menu and thought, I think I'll just be having the big lump of meat.
It is really, it's going to be a little challenging because I think before, you had a restaurant filled with salmon and, all kinds and steaks. And now it's a little challenging, but I was with a group of media people and my co-host, and I didn't want to go through the whole, let's talk about keto while we're here. We were here to enjoy the night. We already had enough going on. We were like, no, let's just enjoy it. So I did the basics.
See, Snow White's my princess, so I've got to go to that
So
meal.
nice. It's really pretty. It really is pretty. The dim lighting, it's everything. I think you're going to love it.
Right. So you've said that you tend to use the park as a meeting point for you and your family and to hang out with friends. So your touring experience and mine are going to be very different because I tend to go for like 2-3 weeks at a time and from dawn till dusk hit every single attraction and don't even breathe. Whereas you might, I don't know, tell me what a typical day might be for you.
For instance, this evening, I don't anticipate one attraction, and the one I might would be Spaceship Earth. I think we'll just wander around the flower and garden and take in the sights and just strolling, but I don't see that we'll probably ride a ride. And if we do, my little guy likes Spaceship Earth a lot, so that's what we'll do. Other than that, the kids go so often that they don't have to ride rides. They don't have to be at every attraction, you know? So I totally, what we do that when our friends are in town and they're not here all the time. But us as a family, we could go Christmas to the Magic Kingdom and maybe ride one ride. So we're just more lackadaisy walking around and just enjoying the sights. But if I want to say take an evening and just go ride rides, then I do it. I don't ride the roller coasters anymore, except maybe Mine Train and Big Thunder. I kind of steer clear of everything else. So far, Tron is probably going to intrigue me.
Ooh, I've got friends who've ridden it overseas and they
I
just
hear.
rave about it. It's
I know.
amazing.
Tron's definitely I'm going to have to ride it at least once.
Absolutely.
I did do Toy Story, but I didn't know. Actually, I did Toy Story and it was a big laughing stock. This is going to sound so ignorant, but this is a big joke on my podcast. I went with my co-host and my husband and her husband, and I was too busy, like filming and doing stuff. I wasn't paying attention, and they all know that they know more than me about what's coming and what's going on because I just go and I see the stuff. I don't research everything because I'm here. I don't feel like I have to just be up to date on everything. I'll just see it when I'm there. So I knew that it was going to be, I can't even think. Oh, Slinky Dog. I knew it was going to be like a roller coaster, but what I didn't know is I thought it was going to be a kid's roller coaster. So I thought it was going to be like Goofy's Barnstormer, or maybe even calmer. So I get on it and I've got my Apple AirPods in my ear and my co-host turns around and she goes, we were literally on a live broadcast and she turns around and she's like, take those off your ear. And I'm going, Jen, I'm like, stop talking. I'm in a podcast. I'm in a broadcast. And she's like, take them out of your ear. And she's yelling at me. And I'm like, why? So I take them out of my ear and I'm like laughing to everybody because I filmed the whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's overreacting, And then it starts going. And then I'm like, wait a minute. You guys didn't even tell me this is a roller coaster. I had no idea. They're dying hysterical. I had zero clue. I'm not even kidding you. They're like, how did you not walk? You walked by it. You walked right past all of that stuff. You didn't even look. And I'm like, no, I was filming. I wasn't paying attention. I got on it. And then, oh, no. I had no idea it was going to go fast and sharp corners and the whole 9 yards. But I will say it's super cute. I wasn't ready. And I'm very grateful she made me take my AirPods out.
Oh, Lord. But I love to do the same. I don't like to read up anything about upcoming
Right, I
attractions.
want to just do it. Yeah.
I think I'm the only person in the world who hasn't watched everything about Star Wars and Galaxy's Edge.
I'm the other person.
I don't want to know till I'm studying that land. Stop telling me about green milk.
I do, yeah, I'm totally clueless. Sadly, I'm totally clueless on Star Wars in general. I'm not going to lie to you there. I've seen the original and I've seen one other, possibly two. But I'm definitely the most clueless Star Wars person. But I will say, when you're in Toy Story Land and you can look at it while it's being built, it's extremely impressive and it's very large. So I think it'll be neat just to even wander around once the hype goes down, and I'm not sure when that's going to be.
Yeah, maybe 2023.
I don't even know. I'm nervous about it. I'm nervous about the whole park and what it's going to be like when that opens.
So are you going to be one of the people that's in line on the first day of opening at the end of August?
I will be one of the people in my house eating dinner. I have never stood in line, never gone, because mostly claustrophobia. And B, I don't have a desire. So I'll see it because I live here. I'll see it whenever there's not a million people in line. But my co-host is coming down and she will be here day of and she will be ready and prepared.
Yeah, because wasn't she planning a trip and staying at the Grand Floridian or something? And
Yeah, she's always down. So yeah, so she's going to do it. And she's going to, yeah, I mean, like, good for you. Better you than me. I'll meet you at another park when you're done.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
sounds about right. I got off lucky because I was originally going to be in Walt Disney World at that time. And I had to reschedule one or two things, and it meant I was going earlier into July rather than into August. So
Yeah.
I'm missing it out, and the other half is gutted, and he's like, I can't believe it. And I'm like,
no.
I am so happy. I am so happy.
I'm no offense, but yes, I agree.
There is nothing in the world that could make me go and wait in line for 8 hours.
No, Pandora was so scary. They set up water stations. People were passing out. It was crazy. So no. And that went on for months on end. The lines were outside of Pandora into parts of Animal Kingdom. And it was months and months of that. It was absolutely absurd. And I don't see the need to do that. I would rather book a trip later on when it's like dies down a little bit, or while I'm at Disney, if I'm coming from out of state or out of the country, why would I want to spend the entire day sitting in one location on my vacation? I just can't imagine doing it.
No, it's pretty pointless to me, but
I agree.
Each to their own. Other people
Yes.
are like gung-ho and like, yes, I've got to get there on day opening, and I don't mind if I'm going to be queuing for 6.5 days.
Well, sometimes if I go to a media event, then I'm okay. You know, it's usual friends or something like that. You know everybody, and it's not crazy. But if there's no media event, or if I'm not invited to that one in particular, then I'm good. I'm very good.
So let's move on. We've mentioned and hinted a few times this word keto. Can you just clarify for people who aren't familiar with this? People call it a diet. I say it's a way of life. Could you just sort of clarify what it sort of entails briefly?
Sure. I mean, we call it the keto diet, but really in reality, it is a way of life because you have to adapt to the thought process of eating this particular way. And it is low carb, high fat, depending on who you are, what your shape is, what your hormone levels are, your insulin resistance. There's a lot of things, a lot of factors that go into keto of how you should be eating keto. There's multiple different ways people eat keto. And I think one of the biggest mistakes out there is just to pop on Instagram and see everyone's version of keto. And if you're new to keto, you might be disappointed about your fat loss not being so speedy, maybe. They have, they've got the nicknames. They've got the dirty keto, lazy keto, that type of thing. But I myself try to do strict keto. But so basically, you want the good fats. You want an animal fat, a coconut oil, avocado oil, or a pure olive oil. And nowadays, that's extremely hard to come by, actually. From my research, the only one that you can actually control about olive oil would be coming out of California. The Californian olive oil that's what it is. It's actually just olive oil. But if it's coming out of Italy, there's a possibility it's blended with something like canola, which we all try to avoid. I avoid canola like the plague. Canola and I are just arch enemies. I stay away from canola as much as humanly possible, as it wreaks havoc in the body and can, if you're doing keto and you're trying to lose fat, it could even stall your fat loss. But the diet itself, some people incorporate vegetables, greens, anything that grows above ground and in limited quantities, but it depends on where you're at in the diet. If you're in the beginning of it and you have fat to lose, then you definitely want to limit that more. Even cucumbers have carbs. As a matter of fact, if you look into the cucumber itself, the skin on the cucumber has more carbs than the actual cucumber. So if we tend to not peel it, if you're making it like look cute and but you peel it if you yourself are eating it and you want to put it in a salad. But if you put it out on display, you might leave it with some, the stripes or something in it. But the actual, there's ways to make your vegetable less carbohydrates if you do a little research on it.
A lot of people go to this route because they want to lose weight. That's
True.
what I came to the decision of. I tried virtually every diet under the sun, and it was suggested to me because I have or had polycystic ovaries, and a lot of people who have weight issues tend to have this issue. So I thought, I'll give this a go. Did you choose to go on this way of life for health benefits or weight loss initially? What drew you?
Well, I'm a previous fitness competitor. I was actually a figure competitor. I have to be very specific. A figure competitor. I'm nationally ranked, and during that time frame to lean out, I use low fat, high carb to lean out. When you compete like that, you have nutritionists, choreographers, and all that. And my nutritionist, this was her way of leaning out. She was a bodybuilder, and this is how she did it, and that's just how I learned it. At the time, years and years ago, when I first started it, it was like a version of Atkins. I'm putting up quotes here. It's not actually Atkins, but it's a version of Atkins because we don't do the canola and that type of thing, and grass-fed, grass-finished beef, try to stick with all of that as much as humanly possible. That's what led me to it. And then over the years, it's been successful. I mean, I dropped down to 4% body fat and was able to compete and do all that. But I will say that the keto diet itself, going into your hormone situations and stuff, has saved so many women and regulated their hormones. Men too, absolutely men too. But we tend to have more female problems with the hormones. You know what I mean? We have so many. It's almost like at one point in time, you're like, I feel like I'm just falling apart. If this doctor says one more thing that's connected to one more thing, keto and fasting changes everything. Everything changes. Once you get keto adapted and you're on a roll, you start feeling better and everything starts regulating. As long as you're doing it properly and you're really being committed to it, you will see amazing results. It changes a lot, not just the way you look, but it also changes how you feel in general.
No, I completely agree.
People don't realize it. It definitely is a game changer. And if anyone's listening and they're teetering, try it. We all know as keto lovers that people are out there, against keto and that. But we always say, like, if you do the research on keto, it's the same thing. It's the same thing like with drug companies. There is so much money vested in, even in our country, in the United States alone, there's so much money invested in us eating junk food. That it's like a snowball. If you eat this, then we know you're going to be going to the doctor. We know you're going to be doing this. We know that we're going to catch you when you have cancer. They have all of these things. And I don't want to say keto is a cure for cancer and et cetera. But what we do know is sugar feeds cancer cells. Whether you're sitting at home saying, well, good news, I don't eat any sweets. But if you're eating bread, it's the same thing. It's still turning into a sweet. It's still turning into sugar. So if sugar feeds cancer cells, and we know this, then if we can stop doing it and start eating this lifestyle and change it, can you imagine how much healthier, how much money our governments would be saving on us, how much we ourselves, would have an expanded lifespan and more time with our kids and healthier and happier. It changes everything. I feel like it's almost like I'll get people just randomly texting me, family, everybody saying, oh, blah, blah, blah hurts. And I'm like, keto. I mean, I feel like that's my answer to everything. I'm like, keto, I don't know what to tell you. If you're on keto, you won't be having these problems. But what you don't want to do is get caught up doing the wrong type of keto. And that might be what everyone sees on the internet, As with any type of thing in life, there's always a good side and a bad side. If we can compete with the social media posting the wrong type of keto, if we can kind of like limit that somehow, which it probably will never happen, I just suggest to everyone to research. When I competed, I had to get into the mindset of food was strictly just a fuel for my body.
Absolutely.
And once I started thinking if it's just a fuel, then I have to lose the emotion attached to it. Even myself, I've gained weight and, over the years and lost it and gained it. And even with this, doing the book I've just done, I gained weight doing the book because I was overeating. I'm like at 3 restaurants a night sometimes, and it just got tiring. But then when you're spending so much money, you're like, I can't leave this giant piece of steak I just paid $50 some for sitting on a plate. You know what I mean? I'm like, ugh. So I even got myself caught up in the mindset of like, I have to eat all this. I have to, well, not all, but you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If I'm not eating keto, or if I'm not eating over the years the diet I was eating, it would be like, then I'm just eating. Because in my head, I'm like, why waste my time? If I'm not, why spend $1 million on food when then 5 minutes later I'm going to eat something junky? So I struggle with that personality where it's just really easier for me not to cheat. For me personally, it's a hard personality to deal with. It's a very controlling personality. So I have to just stick with what I've got.
I am just like you. I am 100% committed, because if I don't, little bad ways will creep on in, and it's like arguments in my head saying, oh, it is okay to have a little bit of that.
Sure, exactly.
And it's like, no, I've got to be full on. And I don't think you can get to the point that I did of, losing 8 stone over 100 pounds,
right.
Of getting to that and in a short period of time, by not being strict, because I didn't want to take 6 years to lose the weight.
Sure, exactly. And you know that, and you and I, we've both lost the same amount of weight. I work out. I lift weights twice a week. I don't just do keto. It is, I had a bad hip injury months and months ago, and it cost me a lot of weight gain because it was whatever someone would give me. You know what I'm saying? It was like, whatever you feed. It was either fasting or whatever you feed. And I don't know about you, but I personally have friends or people that reach out to me that are like, I'm totally doing keto, but today I'm going to eat pasta. I'm totally doing keto, but an hour ago I ate an ice cream. So what I say to that is, it's almost like, don't do keto, because the last thing you want to do is eat high amounts of fat and then mix it with carbohydrates. Even though it's healthy fat, you don't want to be mixing it with carbohydrates like that. You know what I mean? Because it's then you're still talking about a problem. So if you just stuck with a high fat, you're good as gold. But when you add that and you're like, because most people, like in the morning, they're like, I got this. I'm doing this diet. And then like lunchtime, I'm still doing this diet. By dinner, they're like eating everything in the house. If you're sitting and eating bacon and eggs for breakfast, smothered in butter, and then maybe if you eat something, midday, or maybe you're eating like, I don't even know what people eat, hamburgers, you never know. And then in the evening, you're like, oh gosh, I just wish I could have just a big plate of pasta or something. And then you've eaten extremely high fat all day, and then you're going to mix it with this. You're just better off cheating. Just like stick to cheating and come back to keto. Years ago, many, many years ago, Dr. Phil was on Oprah, and his comment was to like Oprah and everyone in the audience. His comment was, how's it working for you? Like everything that she kept saying, he's like, yeah, how's that working for you? And then every excuse she had, that's all he kept saying. And I'm thinking, how is it working for me? And then when you get to that point where you're like, okay, I definitely need to lose fat. This is ridiculous. What am I doing to myself? I'm aging myself. I'm not being able to play with kids or my grandkids or anybody. It's I need to do this for me. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel. And I definitely don't want to carry that much extra weight around ever again. You have to get to the point where you're ready to do it. And then you just have to have courage in yourself to keep going. Because at first, some people lose a lot of weight on keto, but it's a lot of water weight, because carbohydrates store water, and all the salt and et cetera that's in the processed foods, you're going to lose all that water retention. But then you might taper. Men don't taper as fast as women, but we do. But if you keep the course, you'll see it'll pop back in and you'll get right back on it, and then it will come off.
Absolutely. So you combined your love of Disney to write this book, Keeping Keto at Disney. How did the thought process come together to actually put all the ideas down in a book? And then let's share a little bit about the research that you did.
Well, I think it was just me having to eat in general. I personally don't eat at the quick services, and that's something I've never done. But because, as you probably have learned, I like to go and eat dinners with the kids or the family, and we'll drive to Disney for dinner for the night and come home. That's kind of where our thing is. We go there to eat, walk around, come back home. We're good. So I'm out there so much. I started doing my own research, and then I realized my iPhone's got a million notes in it and all these pages. And then I started realizing I'm just going to do a book. And I got approached by someone else and asked me, hey, you want to do a book? And I'm like, absolutely. So what I did was I branded the Keeping Keto at Disney because I knew I was doing every theme park around the world. And then I'll do an updates annually. And so I just started. It moved into me talking about me eating keto on the show. And I'm just like, I'm at the parks and I'm busting my bum trying to make sure everybody, everybody with me I listed everybody that's eaten on this book tour because one of my friends is Big Fat Panda, and he's like one of my closest friends. And he literally made a joke, and I thought, well, he wanted to put a quote that was a joke, and I'm like, I'm going to leave it. So I put it on the back of my book. It's pretty funny because he's not kidding. I have literally harassed every chef that I've sat with, and they laugh about it. They know, oh my gosh, here's the keto girl. So I just wanted to go through. I sit down at the restaurant. I let them know what I'm there for. I let them know I'm not reviewing their restaurant. I'm strictly here because I do that with media. Sometimes I go with Panda and we do all that. I'm here to eat and do research for a book. So when I told them all this, the chefs will come, they'll sit down, they chit chat. And my situation was I needed everything I ate accessible to you and anyone else who had this book in their hands. Because a lot of people were like, oh, let me go across. Like if I'm in one country, they're like, let me go over to the UK to pick up this and then I'll be right back. It'll take me just a couple, I'm like, I'm all the way over in Japan. You don't need to go over there. I'm like, no, because anybody that stands in front of you that has this book, you're not going to run over to the United Kingdom to pick up something. So I need you to tell me what's not going to put you out and what's going to make your life easier for when people come in with these dietary restrictions. And that was my goal. My goal was to have people like us to go in and be able to eat, and then the chefs to be able to deal with it, because a lot of them had no idea what keto was. A lot of them were actually on keto. It was like almost 50-50. So the ones that had no idea, it was just a little bit of a learning curve, and we just sat and we talked it out, and we got to the bottom line. And then once I took down the managers, the proprietor, whoever was at the restaurant, on top of the chef's name, and I put them all in the book. I talked to this chef, this manager, and this is exactly how I ordered it. We've had the Hidden Mickey guy on our show, and he was kind of my inspiration because I needed something that they could carry in a purse and walk in and say, here's the picture. This is what she ate. This is what I want. Here's the description. It's just that easy. So if you could even ideally tell a waitress, a server, here's exactly how I want to order it. And it could be, you don't even have to bring out the chef. But I was in the restaurant last night, and this is, I've been running into this a lot. And I have people, I was at the restaurant Trattoria Al Forno last night, and two chefs came out, and they're like, oh, we have your book. I'm like, that's awesome. I didn't meet either of them before, but they're like, so we know all about the book, and they were excited to feed me. So the chefs are excited to see their names in the book and their artwork, because their food is art. And so when you show them the book, or you say, hey, this is, this chef or whatever, they're super excited about it. So I think that was the other bonus of me adding their names in, because I wanted to give them recognition for what they did. I will say it was a labor of love. Most people like, how could you complain about eating at all these great restaurants? I wasn't complaining as much as it's a little hard on the wallet. I will tell you that. It cost me about $5,000 in 3 months. Somewhere between 3 and 4 months. My 12-year-old was my main dinner guest. He went with me to multiple. So we would sit at 1 minute we're at Yachtsman Steakhouse. The next minute we're at Le Cellier. It's like at times he was like, okay, all right. This is how much more can we possibly eat? He's definitely a food snob now. So I love that about him. He tells the chefs how he wants his salmon cooked. And I love that. So now he's like into it. And he's autistic. So he's very sensory processing and he's very exact on how his food needs to be cooked to them. So that's a little wonderful. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody had something in their hand that they could come to Disney World and not fail, not feel like we think of things like if you've been to Disney World before, you say, oh, remember when we all eat at this restaurant, and we're all eating there, and now I'm watching everybody else eat, but I'm going to miss out on the event. Food is an emotional connection. We already know this. We try to get rid of it. But while I'm sitting there now, I can eat. I've did the hoop-de-doo with my mom and dad and some of my kids. And it turned out that Chef Steven at the hoop-de-doo gave me so much more food that was literally better quality that everyone stopped eating the hoop-de-doo food and started eating all of my food. I will say that the chefs went out of their way to help me out. And I think that if people pick up the book and take it with them, they'll find it accessible. But I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple things that are a problem while you're at Walt Disney World.
Ooh, come on.
One of them, I've sat with the food and wine chefs, and I know a bunch of chefs out there, and I've sat down and I've had a powwow with them, and they all told me you just can't stick to keto on our booths, and in the quick service, unless you are doing a form of like lazy keto, where you don't care about the canola oil and the things like that, and the processed cheese and everything. So for me, I don't do it. I would rather just sit down and have a steak or even a salad where I could put a grilled chicken on it. And then I add I always bring my own avocado oil and apple cider vinegar. I carry 4 of them, 2 of each in my purse everywhere I go. So the problem is I would say I did about 75 restaurants. And I think I put 70 in the book. I would say about 65 restaurants, nobody had olive oil. They said they had olive oil, but the olive oil wasn't actually olive oil. It was half olive oil, half canola. But they don't have to tell you that. That's in every restaurant, almost anywhere you go. You physically have to ask, is it pure olive oil? Is it pure extra virgin olive oil? Let me see the bottle. I want to just try. I don't trust you. So the situation was the chefs were completely honest and they told me up front they have blended olive oil. So that was a bit of a problem. They also had blended butter. It was half margarine, half butter. Even in restaurants at steakhouses where I thought, no way. There's no way that they have blended butter. They did. It was very difficult. And so what I did for you in the book is I told you this place has this, or that, and you have to ask it explicitly like this, or that. That's pretty much how it had to be, because if it was there's nothing they could accommodate me with, then I either didn't include them in the book. You will see it's like just a salad. That's it. I didn't want to tempt anything else. If there was reasons why I didn't do full steaks at every restaurant. If they couldn't guarantee me how they cooked the steak or what they were cooking it in, then it was not worth my while.
That's great.
I also think artificial sweeteners are a big problem too. I think that people go there and they'll take a Diet Coke or they'll take a unsweet tea and then they'll add the packages on the on the table into their drink. And even if there's stevia, which there really is not at Disney, the stevia is more than likely blended with an artificial sweetener. It's 99% not real stevia. You can bring your own stevia. That's my suggestion. I use Sweet Leaf. I partner with them, and they are my brand that I enjoy. I take them everywhere. So I carry a goodie bag of stuff, and I even included that in the book. I've also partnered with Mouse to Your House, who local to Walt Disney World, she brings baskets or packages that people can order in advance. So she's done 3 Keto Fit Gal packages where all these little things are in there that you could just have on your trip while you're here, including things like Zevia, the soda and stuff like that for the hotel room.
Oh, such brilliant idea, though, to be able to get that and not have to worry or spend ages running around Walmart.
Exactly. That was my thing. And I even said in the book, if somebody needs something else, let me know, because I'm close enough that I can help people out.
The thing is, I've got, for example, page 30 open in front of me, which is at Hollywood Studios. Little bit of information about Sci-Fi Diner.
The sci-fi.
And then underneath, you've put, keeping it simple here, bunless burger, which is great. Right. But then you sort of mention about the cooking of it, because you can
Yes.
specify to have it cooked on the grill in foil.
That's how I had to do the majority of anything that was a restaurant like that, because they're doing is spraying canola on their grill, and it's been sprayed all day long. Unless you're there first time in the morning, you could catch a piece of the grill that's not already sprayed, like first at opening. But 90% of the day, it's just layers and layers of canola oil spray. And if you request how it's cooked, you're better off. Now, do I think I'm going there to get grass-fed beef? Absolutely not. I know that if I'm eating at this restaurant, that bacon is probably cured in sugar. It's been everywhere I went at Walt Disney World. 90% of the people have told me I could taste the sugar in it, even though it's not like maple bacon, because I don't do anything like that, or honey glaze or something. But I can taste sugar in bacon. Bacon's only cured in two things, salt or sugar, and I can taste when it's cured in sugar. So then I just don't eat a lot of it, or I eat a little bit of it, or I just don't eat it. Like I carry my own. I have a hashtag I throw out there. It's called purse bacon. I carry my own purse bacon if I want some bacon with me.
Love it.
Literally, anytime you see me, I probably have bacon in my purse. I pulled it out at the restaurant last night because the chefs are like, no, it's cured in sugar. I'm like, got it. Don't worry.
I've got my own. It's fine. Don't need to worry. Oh,
Carry my own.
awesome. So, guys, if you're going to go to Walt Disney World, and in the future the other parks will come online too, do highly recommend you can get this book online from, I got mine from Amazon. Even over here in the UK, you can acquire it.
The Kindle version came out this week as well, if they've got that for their iPads or anything.
Which is even more accessible to take around with you, isn't it? Because it's just there on your mobile device.
Yes, exactly.
It's a reasonable enough size to keep in your bag. It's got pictures, it's got information, and it will ensure that you do keep to this way of life whilst in the parks.
I also suggest you use it in your everyday life, because you can go into like an Outback Steakhouse and say, now that you know where I've eaten, and if you just have to find a steakhouse and then see, oh, at this steakhouse she asked for it to be made like this. Once you have the tools to ask, you can eat anywhere. You can see the book, see the tools, and implement them anywhere in your local restaurants.
I'm going to be trying this out in the UK because we're not
Absolutely.
really that renowned for modifying people's meal options over here.
I heard that. I did hear that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go and do some research and see how I'm able to do that, because up to this point, when I go out for a meal, there's certain set places that I will go that I know I can go and get something, but it's never struck me to think about, well, how are they cooking that steak?
I know. It's so scary. I don't want to say it's scary, but scary when you're dieting and scary when you're for health reasons. The thought of it, I know.
But I know now, and I know what I'm going to be doing. So I'm all sorted with that. Can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media to bombard you with any other questions or queries?
Please do, yeah.
And also where we can get the book from?
Wonderful. So Amazon is where I've got it going right now currently, but they could find me at Keto Fit Gal on Instagram, all over social media, as well as I have a Keto Fit Gal Facebook page, and my personal is Christine Fox, at Christine Fox on Facebook, and you can reach out to me there. And I definitely wanted to leave you guys with one tip as well for eating your meat at home. We all like to do grass-fed beef, but grass-fed beef isn't actually grass-fed beef. You need a label that says grass-fed, grass-finished. And if it doesn't say grass-finished, they can have beef that at one point in time from the day of birth to the day of death, they ate some grass, but the rest of the time they were eating grain. But they could get a label called grass-fed, and it's not actually grass-fed. You definitely want to make sure the label says grass-fed, grass-finished.
Oh.
Somebody like Strauss is a brand that comes to mind.
And I'll have a little look in the UK to see what regulations and wording are going to be available and pop that on our website as well, because I'm not familiar with that little tag. I normally buy all my meats, etc., from a butcher because I know it comes from the fields surrounding my house.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So I'm very blessed to live in a rural part of the world where you're able to do that, but not everybody is.
No. And I would definitely check with your butcher how they're, how the cow's being fed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christine, for coming on the show and sharing your love of Disney, your love of keto.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure.
Can't wait to get back to Disney and start holding out the book to the chefs and saying, okay,
Yes.
cook me this, cook me this. Christine says this is how I've got to have it done. I can't wait. Thank you so much, my lovely.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And definitely, I want to see you when you come.
Absolutely.